Life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. So today I'm doing another no sex movie review because I know as an asexual person myself, it's very, very difficult to find films that have no sex in them. Or is it? Because if you look on my channel, I do have a playlist full of movies that have no sex in them. So I am asexual, which is a sexual orientation that is the lack of sexual attraction. In my case, not only do I not experience sexual attraction, so I don't get the need, urge or want for partner sexual intercourse, I personally do not like nudity in movies. In films, sculpture, TV, you name it, I'm just not interested in nudity. So I try to find movies that have got no sex in them and no nudity. And I've managed to find a movie called My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Now, this movie I know it's an old movie. It's a 2002 movie. And it's a movie that I wanted to see years ago, even though I'm still really young. It's 2002. That's quite a long time ago, isn't it? But anyway, even though it's 2002, I remember it. And I thought I really, really would love to have seen it at the time. So I saw this in Poundland in the UK and I bought it for £1. So I thought I'm just going to watch it, because it looked really funny on the trailers. And I have to say, this is a hilarious movie. It's actually a romantic comedy. I'm not so into romantic movies usually, although I'm really romantic. But this was really funny. And I really liked it. So Tula, who's the main character, she is a middle-class Greek woman. And in the movie, she is 30 years old and she hasn't got a husband. And basically, you see her throughout the movie. By the way, I'm giving spoilers away. If you haven't seen the movie, don't like spoilers, don't watch this because you'll get disappointed. But if you love spoilers, if you want to know what it's all about, stay tuned. So yeah, so in the beginning of the movie, you see the little version, the little Tula, if you like. I think she's 12 in the beginning. And then she gets older and older until she grows into a full woman. And by 30, she still hasn't got a husband. But she grows up being absolutely fed up because her dad goes on and on about being Greek all the time. And that every word is always derived from Greek. And so it's very funny though. Her dad's really hilarious in it because everything has to be to do with Greek language. No word can enter through the vocabulary without it being Greek. Her dad's like really hammers the fact. And basically they're brought up in this family very traditionally, like everyone's supposed to get married, everyone's supposed to have babies. And, you know, that's basically their life. And then they die. So little Tula's very fed up with this kind of like life being drummed into her. So what she does is she does work in her parents' restaurant. And then when she's like 30 years old, this guy comes to the restaurant with his friend. And his friend's trying to hook him up. This is the guy. His friend's trying to hook him up with different women. But he's like, oh, they're all the same, you know. And she at the time, Tula, is very kind of like looking very old. She wears old clothes. She doesn't look very attractive in the beginning. But he still notices her and notices she's different. And she, you can tell, really is quite smitten with him as soon as she sees him in the restaurant. But because she's like, looks the way she looks, like really old, not very good looking. She's not meant to be good looking anyway. But I think looks are, you know, in the eye of the beholder. You know, some people love kind of a nerdy look or an older look, you know. Everyone's different. But anyway, in the movie she's meant to be like looking really old. Her dad keeps saying, you look really old, you're not married yet, you know, I don't know what to do with you. And he's concerned, he says to the relatives that basically he's worried that she doesn't want to get married. And so yeah, and so anyway, it's very interesting. So one day she you know, she wants to do something more with her life than be in the restaurant. And she did lots of computer studies when she was studying, but they're kind of outdated. So she has to get her mum, and I think it's her aunt, to help her. I think it's her aunt, but her mum and another relative anyway, to help her get a job in computing. Well, her relative, who I think is her aunt, She goes to work for doing computers, but she has to go to college first before she can do that. And they have to make it look like it's the father's idea, because the father is all like about honour, and and he doesn't want her to go to college in the first place. The mother his wife talks him into it for Tula, and so she's allowed to go to like college or university, I think it is. It's like allowed to go back into education anyway, go back and study and go and get some computer qualifications. So then she works for this woman, like I said, I think it's her auntie, it's a relative of hers anyway, and they own a travel agency. So she goes and does the computer work, she books people's holidays, and then this guy one day comes past the travel agency and sees her a couple of times, and she's kind of hiding because she's really shy, and then eventually plucks up the courage to go in and talk to her, and then he invites her out for a meal, and from that invites her out for lots of other meals, and they end up being in a relationship together. But it's secret from her family, because in her family traditionally only Greeks marry Greeks, and that's it. Whereas he's a middle upper class guy who's white and not Greek at all, and it never happens that in her family that someone gets married who's Greek to someone who isn't Greek. So all the Greeks marry Greeks basically. And so anyway, it's very funny. I found it really, really funny, and I really love the storyline. It's very, very, very romantic storyline. You do see them in bed together, but you see her jump on top of him. You don't see any... In one scene, you see them in bed together, but they're not really doing anything. It's like he's on top of her, but clothed. Has he got... I don't know if he's got anything... Oh, I think he might have his chest naked, but she's clothed. But I presume they're meant to have done something then. But one scene you see, eventually, like he's kissing her all the time in the car, and he's wanting to get more, but she's like, oh no, I've got to go home now, basically. So, but I did get the impression when he kept kissing her in the car that he just wanted her for sex, which I don't think was very good. But you find out he doesn't, and they're together, and eventually he invites her to his apartment, and then she pounces on him, and is meant to have had sex, but you don't actually see any sex scenes in there at all. It's all implied. So there's no like nudity. Like I said, the guy's top might be off. Yeah, the guy's top is off on a baptism thing as well later on. So basically, in order to marry her, he has to get baptized and to marry her, because in the end she's not happy because she doesn't want to upset her family, but she wants to marry him, and her family find out that she's been seeing him secretly. So he decides that he's going to do whatever it takes to be with her and please her family, because he knows her family mean a lot to her. So yeah, he gets baptized, and then one of her cousins is like putting oil over his chest. But yeah, so but he does, like, when they're having an intimate moment, like she's in bed with him, but he's on top of her, but you don't see any nakedness apart from, I think it's his chest naked. He says he loves her, and she says, I love you too, and he asks her to marry him. So then it is really true love. But I was a bit concerned that he was getting very lustful at one point. So yeah, but it's actually a really nice story. It's very funny because his mum and dad are very, very upper class, and they hardly speak. They're very quiet in their household. He's an only child, whereas she comes from a huge background full of loads of cousins. I think she's got like 28 cousins or something. She comes from like a huge family background, and her place is really noisy, really loud, food everywhere, mountains of food, and it's like really the opposite of his family, which is just him and his mum and dad. So whenever she goes to his place with his mum and dad, it's just like wine, being drunk, and basically hardly speaking that much. Very, very posh and refined kind of mannerisms. And when he goes to hers, it's like really loud and brash, and it's kind of like huge. Her family is in his face all the time. The family is everything in the Greek term. Their family is basically living with them, and in the end, the very, very end, right, they do get married and they have kids. Like, oh, the next minute I've got a child, so the child's supposed to be going off to school, and the dad, when at the wedding, finally accepts him and buys them a house. And you find out at the very, very end that her house is just literally next door to her parents' house. So her dad bought the house next door with him, so that basically they could be together, and her dad and family are still close by. So that's where it ends. But yeah, so I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really funny. I did love the love story in it. There's a lot of kissing in this. You know, I like kissing. I did like the fact that the guy said that he came alive when he met her, and he'll do anything to be with her. And I think that's so true. You know, I see people in real life and they don't realise how lucky they are when, you know, when they meet someone and they come alive, and they haven't experienced that aliveness before, and they haven't experienced that type of love and intensity before and connection. And some guys don't realise what they've got, and they let that go, you know, and I think it's sad. But I wish more guys were like this one in the movie, that were truly like grateful that that person came into their life and made them alive, because their life wasn't so happy without them. I know in life you're meant to be happy and content on your own and feel whole, and that's really, really important. But, you know, some people, they do still long to be with someone. They have this kind of like bit of loneliness, if you like, or bit of something a little bit missing, which is connection with another human being in a relationship, you know. And as human beings, we do need connection, a lot of us. I know some people don't need a relationship to be in a romantic relationship. I do understand there's a lot of asexuals that don't need romance, but there's quite a few that still do, you know. And I do think that if you meet someone in your life and they do make you feel alive, and they make you, you know, and you experience connection like you've never experienced it before, and you do love the person, I do think you should do whatever it takes to be with that person, you know, because life is so short. And, you know, it's better to be with someone you love, who loves you back, and get that companionship and get that bestest ever friendship, and for them just to make you happy, you make them happy, and you should be happy already single, but even happier when you're with them, you know. And I look forward to that one day. I think one day I will meet the right guy for me. I do miss my soulmate. I always believe I have a soulmate. I always miss him in this life, yeah. You know, and we just have to accept the way we feel sometimes, you know. And I think if you do experience that someone in your life comes into your life and they kind of just sweep you off your feet in a good way, and you feel like, wow, this connection I've never had with anyone before, I might never get it with anyone else again. Like, I think you should pay attention to that. I think you should understand that, of course, you can get another person. There's tons of people in the world, but you can't get that one person again. They're unique and special. So if it's that one special, unique person you like, then you should go for it. And I really loved that about the movie, you know. I really felt it was good. I felt it, you know, he really truly valued her, and he would do anything to be with her. And he was like, you know, she's like, well, why do you love me? And he's like, because I came alive when I met you. You know, I came alive when I met you. And I think that says it all, you know. So I hope that you enjoy the movie as much as I do. And I would highly recommend you seeing it. So check it out. And I'll see you on the next video live stream. Take care. Embrace your quirky and inner ace. I love you lots. And see you soon. Bye. Bye.